Good afternoon for all again. My name is Juan Gabriel Santamaría, a doctoral student in didactics at the University of Barcelona, specializing in rural education. And this morning, I would like to share with you some insights from my research on school textbooks and the perception of rural teachers regarding these materials. Um, the aim is to establish criteria for the review and planning of the textbooks intended for use by government entities, foundation, or publishers producing textbooks for rural settings. First and foremost, it's important to emphasize that the school textbooks is a fundamental tool. Mainly for rural poor schools is very important tool. This presentation is divided in 4 parts. The first part is about the context and the problem. The second part discusses the research objectives and literature. The third part provides some examples of results. And the last part covers some partial conclusions. Um, it's important to say in Colombia does not have established curriculum plans, but there are basic competency standards, and educational institutions develop their own curriculum programs based in these standards. Um, for a start, it's important to few questions. One of them is in a time when we were talking about artificial intelligence and virtual resources, why not focus on developing better virtual resources? However, there are thousands of rural schools that don't even have electricity or fresh water or clean water. No, it's, this is a reality. In Colombia, we have a population approximately of 48 millions, more or less, of which about 23% are rural people. We are around 2,030,000 children in rural education institutions. But in this context, in this reality, there are a significant challenge. For every 10 children who start primary school, only one ends up at higher education. This is a reality. It's a very sick reality. But the reality of the teachers is, is bad too. Regarding rural teachers, many faces issues related to their training, particularly those with normalista superior education level. This level of education is like somewhat equivalent to a vocational or technical education after secondary school. In Colombia, youngs that 18 or 20 years that ends secondary school could be teach in some rural schools for bicycle primary schools. And in terms of training, there are problems related for 2 ways: to access to the bachelor or master degrees, and the cost. The cost is very expensive for a rural teacher. When it comes to teaching, the curriculum and the school books, we need to consider the relationship between the textbooks and this reality. The curriculum being implanted in rural schools maybe not be suitable for developing student skills. And the contents may be irrelevant because many students drop out of the education system around the age 13 or 15, which the situation suggests that the curriculum may not be suitable. Um, since schools materialize the curriculum, the textbooks materialize the curriculum. Reviewing their content could contribute to the discussion. It would be easier to address these issues in schools with more resources, wealthy schools, for example, but it's not that simple in poor rural schools when we never have only textbooks. In many cases, the school textbooks is also a fundamental tool for novice teachers or those with limited training. Additionally, it serves as a window of knowledge for many children. So the question is, well, why don't rural teachers create their own materials, for example? But precisely because they lack the capacity, time, or resources to do so. They also lack the necessary training. But for this investigation, we have established some research criteria and objectives primarily based on the perception of teachers and review of the literature to establish specific criteria for reviewing or adapting or producing school textbooks for rural books, for rural schools. We have, for this criteria, we have reviewed key literature and based in these 8 papers, established 4 fundamental dimensions or characteristics to research. The first dimension or first part relates to quality, both physical quality and learning development and creative thinking. Then, second part pertains to relationship between the school textbooks and the state's or national or government curriculum reference. The third part dimension about the relevance in according with the student's context and his reality. Fourth dimension concerns the relationship with the teaching practice, including planning, execution, evaluation, and most importantly, supporting teaching process. We have chosen to position ourselves within the phenomenological paradigm. We propose a hybrid research route, combining quantitative and qualitative methods with a concurrent triangulation methodological design. We use 2 instruments, a questionnaire complete by rural teachers and interviews with 10 of them. We surveyed 56 rural teachers from 8 departments in 24 municipalities. We faced several difficulties because initially we hope, for example, of at least 100 teachings, more or less, to ensure representativeness. But with the COVID-19, we have a lot of problems, mainly connectivity and dispersion of rural teachers. This is impossible. We have a lot of difficulties for find the data. Some results in these slides, you can see the questions that we asked, the statistics related to the physical quality for the textbooks. Mainly interesting, in general, teachers has a good perception about the textbooks. But, for example, specific items, for example, in this case, language, simple language, teachers with a doctorate or master more skeptical different with the normalistas superiores. Better better opinion about the textbooks. For example, in terms of learning and developing creative thinking, teachers indeed require strategy. Teachers are more skeptical, especially concerning whether meaningful learning is being promoted through the school textbooks, and that if about the relationship with teaching practice. Regarding the relationship with teaching practice, school textbooks indeed require strategies for feedback and supporting teaching. These are essential aspects for this situation. It's mainly for novel teachers. To conclude, the school textbooks is an important didactic resources for rural schools. There is a significant relationship between the teachers and the school textbooks, and it's crucial that both the curriculum and the textbooks effectively address students' non-conceptual or non-value related needs, avoiding an ideological biases. It's very important to say rural teachers find the school text a tool that allows them to develop their work more effectively. But they may encounter an obstacle if said material does not respond to the specific needs of the rural students of learning space. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for training opportunity to the University of Paris North, to the IARTEM, and of course, my fellow panelists. Thanks.